A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast here in Australia. It's with a little bit of a heavy heart this morning that I'd like to open the show and just take a couple of minutes to sort of acknowledge our poor friends in California and Los Angeles particularly that are going through those terrible fires at the moment. It's a very devastating time for, even if they don't lose their homes or lose things that are close to them, it's that trauma of going through a tragedy like that and being in the midst of something that's very unpredictable. And Mother Nature does have a way of making things unpredictable and uncomfortable for us humans that live here on Earth. And having been born in a bushfire area here in Australia, I can sympathise and understand the terror and the fear and everything that they're going through. And all as we can do as a collective around the world, I think, is keep them safe in our prayers and give them the strength to be able to continue on and rebuild their lives or reorganise their lives after the devastation of the fire is finished. Even if they haven't lost anything, there'll be plenty of people in their community that are going to need their strength and their love and their ability to reignite and rebuild a community again. So our hearts go out to everybody in the Los Angeles, California area this morning. So this week it's a very big show here on A1R Psychic Radio on Moonstruck TV. I've been with the network now a very long time, and it's really always exciting to me here in Australia when we come to the point where we do the Halloween show. Even though Halloween's not a big deal here in Australia, it's a big deal to me. And the reasons why it's such a big deal to me is 14 years ago on Halloween, we launched our very first tarot project worldwide called the Simply Tarot Project. So it's always my little baby's birthday, and this year I'm proud to say that Simply Tarot has just turned 14, and it's a monumental achievement for a little Aussie product that we recreated the Rider-Waite deck, which is, in my opinion, the most popular tarot deck in the world, and we were given the opportunity to work with these amazing cards and recreate them into photographic concept rather than drawings from Pamela Coleman Smith. And I felt very honoured and very privileged to be sort of given that opportunity to bring these cards to life for the 21st century and to write a book, and we produced a DVD so that people could learn from the privacy of their own home. Now, this was the original. This was our very, very first baby that was launched, as I said, 14 years ago. So I'm a little bit like a proud mum when it comes to Halloween every year. It has an extra special place in my heart because of that reason. So moving right along, we're going to feature this week's Simply Tarot card of the week, and it's the World card. And it's one of my brightest positive cards, I think. The World card is overseas trip, money, luck, the world in the palm of your hand, or new opportunities. And when I see this card come out in a reading, no matter how many negative or difficult cards that might surround this in a reading, I always get a smile on my face and feel, well, okay, we've got a lot to be thankful for. These new opportunities coming. If we just sort of open everything up to the world, and maybe with our prayers and our positive thinking, that we can sort of start to create change in our lives. And I think that's a really important thing, that we all do have our own world in the palm of our own hands, and it is up to us as individuals to create those opportunities and to not sit on the couch and complain and moan and say, "No, woe is me, nothing's happening." If we all take a positive outlook, we can achieve so much. And, you know, I'm like everyone else. I have my down days too, but 99.9% of the time I'm upbeat and I'm positive, and I look towards the world as there's always something new on the horizon. So having said that, we're going to focus on, obviously, the Simply Tarot candle this week. The soy candle this week is the Simply Tarot candle. This was the very first one that we designed in our range of soy candles a number of years ago now, and it was to complement the Simply Tarot set. It was a candle that you could light when you're performing readings that sets the right energy for you to commence readings. Now, there's lots of schools of thought about protection and clearing your energy and rituals and things that you need to do. For me, I've always worked with a candle. I've always set the scene by when I go to work that I've always lit a candle, even long before I had my own candle range. And to me, it was that point of focus. It was where I put my protection up, where I cleared my mind and I was ready to then commence work. And plus also being a fire sign, I just love fire. So the Simply Tarot candle is a purple candle. If I turn it around, you can see that it's purple. And it is a candle that is lavender and vanilla. And the reasons why it was chosen of those fragrances is that lavender is very calming. So it sets the scene to sort of calm your mind, to allow your mind to become still. But vanilla is a very good cleaning agent. It clears any negative energy out of the road, but it also leaves a layer of sweetness, which I think is very important. Every time that we do a clearing or we clear energy, we need to have a layer of sweetness there so that we're attracting good things to our lives. So that's the Simply Tarot candle of the week. For those of you that don't want a big candle, we do make up a gift box set. This week I've made it up with, the water sign candle, the new moon candle, and of course the Simply Tarot candle in a little gift box set. We ship these around the world. They're getting very popular at this time of the year with Christmas presents. And you can take the candles out individually and give them as a little gift to sort of say a school teacher or a neighbour or someone that's just special to you. So as I said before, you can make these up in any configuration that you like. For those of you that don't want to work with a flame, you can always pick up a melt warmer down at your local department store and take 2 teaspoons of your favourite soy candle wax and put it in your melt warmer and use it for the same sort of principles. You can leave your melt warmer going all day. It's much safer option than burning a candle. Candles should never really be burnt for more than a couple of hours at a time. That's the recommendation from the candle supply place. I'm a little bit naughty in that way. I tend to burn mine for much longer. But I think with a melt warmer, it's a much safer alternative where you put a couple of teaspoons of your soy wax in there, you can turn it on and you can leave it going all day and then just turn it off the night before you leave the office or you're ready to call it a day. So this week we have a fair bit to talk about on the astrological level because we've just had so much going on astrologically this year. It's been one of the busiest years. So I will say again this week, I'm not going to feature a famous actor or actress because I feel we have too much to talk about on the astrological front with the transiting planets at the moment. So let's kick this off in a very logical, methodical sort of way. We've just coming out of the new moon in Scorpio. So this has been a very intense time for a lot of people where a lot of emotions have come to the surface, things that you thought that you'd let go of or you'd dealt with. Some people found that their emotions were very frazzled, that, you know, one minute they were cranky, the next minute they were in tears, the next minute they were sort of looking to sort of have an argument with somebody. And then all of a sudden, it was like this wave of relief came over as if we'd sort of let go of the monster and it was replaced with a very calm, nice, positive sort of energy. So, you know, the new moon in Scorpio is always a very intense time as we get to this time of the year as we head towards Halloween. But for some years, it's more intense than others, depending on the other planets that are around it. I mean, obviously, the sun's always in Scorpio at this time of the year. But this year, we're also joined by Venus, the planet of love and affection. He's holding hands currently today as we speak with the planet of Mercury, the planet of communication. And Mercury is also holding hands or conjunct the moon. So you've got these 3 major planets, or 2 major planets and a luminary, all holding hands together in the very intense sign of Scorpio. And it's like it's not the time to have that deep and meaningful conversation with your loved one or your husband or your wife. This is a time when we need to be very aware of how we're going to communicate because emotions are going to be very charged. People sort of feel that they've got to jockey for position, that they've got to get their message out. And it can be a touching sort of time, whether it's, you know, with somebody that you're in a love relationship, and that also extends to family members, to our children, to our parents, to aunts, uncles, anybody that's part of our extended family or people that we class as family members, even though they may be only close friends. It's a time where the emotions are very charged. If you do have to have a tricky conversation, be very careful in how you approach it. Don't come across as sort of threatening, dominating, trying to shove it down their throat. Be very gentle in your approach and sort of make sure that they're comfortable and not feeling uncomfortable with what you're saying, even though it might be a tricky or a delicate conversation that you have to have. There's all different ways of approaching things. We don't have to come in like the bull in the china shop and run roughshod over people. We can approach it in a delicate way, even though it may be a very serious topic of conversation that can't be left till a later time and it has to be discussed now. But we can find a more simple or a gentler approach and sort of make sure that they're, you know, in a comfortable spot to receive this information and that we're not just considering our own feelings and getting our own information out and not considering the other person. Now, that's going to last another couple of days now, this very intense energy. We also have the sun in Scorpio too, but it's not holding hands with Venus, Mercury, and the moon. It's sort of a little bit of a distance away from those three planets at the moment. It doesn't make the intensity of the energy any less. It is a time when we all sort of might feel as if we're having a few down days or a few dark days where we need to sort of realign our soul and realign what's important to us. But the other thing that we need to be very aware of is Mercury, the planet of communication, is about to go retrograde for the third time this year. And we talk about this often on the show, where Mercury is seeming to go backwards or retrograde for a period of up to about 3.5 weeks. This happens 3 times a year. Now, how this differs from the previous 2 that we've had this year is the energy is now in Scorpio. So it's going to be incredibly intense. It's going to be sort of almost abrasive. It's going to be sort of like taking steel wool and sort of scraping a raw wound. So you're going to have to be very, very careful of communications between the October 31 to November 26th. Now, we always look at, they're the dates when Mercury is retrograde, but we always look at a few days on the approach and a couple of days on the decline. That's when it's at its strongest. So can I please ask each and every one of you to err on the side of caution? If you have to have very detailed conversations, if you have to have conversations that you know are hot topics that are going to offend people, that are tricky, that are difficult, that are emotionally charged, please take a couple of deep breaths, practice it a few times, find a few ways of delivering this message in a much softer tone. Please don't go in there and start being dictatorial, dominating, pushing it down their throat. Be gentle in your approach, because you've got to understand that they're going to be feeling defensive, they're going to be feeling agitated, they're going to be feeling a little bit out of sorts as well. And if you come in this very bullish, sort of bossy, bombastic sort of way and start laying the law down to get your information out there at what you need to say or what you think needs to be discussed, they're going to immediately put up their walls and go into sort of fight mode or war mode as well. And then the situation could get out of hand very easily. Anytime we have planets in Scorpio, it's always about what is hidden. It's duck under the covers. It's look under the crevices. It's look in the dark areas of your soul. It's looking into the dark areas of our lives. It doesn't necessarily have to be that it's negative. What it means is the energy or the emotions are very deep. They're things that we don't necessarily always bring to light, but it's time of our lives where we do need to bring these things out into the open, where we do need to sort of really sort of bring them to the light and sort of try and give them the light of day to sort of shine some new direction on the things that have been troubling us or bothering us. Now, a Mercury retrograde doesn't necessarily have to mean negativity. It can mean that it's the perfect time for you to delve into your soul, to do some soul searching, to bring out those things that you've been hiding away from yourself, that you've never felt comfortable with sort of dealing with old emotions or looking at habit patterns from the past. Well, this is the perfect time to bring them out into the daylight, look at them, understand them, and give them the boot and sort of say, well, I'm now finally ready to let go of that, or I'm now finally ready to work with the power and the intensity of that energy. I feel comfortable and confident now that I can do so. So there's always a positive side to everything that has a negative. And I like to use this time of the year, for me personally, to look at what maybe I might need to work on for the next 12 months. It's a time where I become very introspective, and it's not just because it's the sign before my birthday month. It's just always been a time of the year where I look at what I've achieved for the year, what I hope to achieve for next year, what did I not deal with on an emotional level, what did I find came to the surface, particularly during the new moon in Scorpio. Was there things there that I thought I'd forgotten about or I thought I'd dealt with? And why did they come to the surface again? Did I ignore something? Did I miss something? So I look at it as a time to have a really sort of good look around my life and sort of see whether there's anything there that I might need to change. And quite often I just find it's a time where I sort of take a little bit of a breather and, you know, allow myself a little bit of downtime to just be. It's not necessarily a time I would say I would go on holidays, but it's a time where I just sort of slow down, sort of just marginally and catch my breath and look at, where I might want to be going for the next 12 months. So I hope that sort of helped you understand the Mercury retrograde and what we're going up against in the next few weeks. And I hope this makes it easier for you to understand that not everything always has to be happy and shiny and bright, that we do have to have balance in our lives. And sometimes the balance in our life is that we don't necessarily have as much light on the situation, but we're aiming towards that we can come out of the deepness or the darkness towards the light, and that's what brings life into balance. So we're going to talk to Miranda now in Pensacola in Florida. Are you there, Miranda?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Do you have a question I can work with, please, Miranda?
Do you know if, what I have in store for me in 2020, do you think I will be, having a baby or anything?
Okay, Miranda. Baby questions and health questions are things that are sort of like an unspoken sort of law around the world that we're not supposed to talk about because they are a very personal topic. But what I can sort of say to you is that they're sharing with me from the other side that there's a lot of change coming up around you, particularly for 2020. I feel that you're in a good headspace, that you know exactly what it is that you hope to achieve next year. And if that means, becoming a parent, then you've certainly looked at everything to the best of your ability and you're in the best emotional spot and physical spot that you could be for that to happen. Do you have other children, Miranda?
No, ma'am. I have recently lost my fiance, in December of last year. And this guy I've been talking to, we've kind of been getting really close. So.
Mm-hmm. So it's been a difficult year emotionally then after going through that loss.
Yeah. And with him, he's been wanting a baby and stuff like that. So.
Mm-hmm. But do you feel sort of now that you've come out the other side that you're ready to sort of move forward again?
Yes. My feelings for him are really strong. I didn't want to get with anybody, but for some reason, he just was brought around me, and I caught feelings for him. And
it's always difficult, Miranda, when we've had a loss. And, everybody handles grief and loss in a very different, very individual way. And it's probably one of the most common situations that I deal with in my work. And people don't understand that there is no right or wrong way to grieve. There is no right or wrong way to look at something. We've got to do what's right for us. And whether that seems right to someone else is not the issue. It's how you feel in yourself. And the reasons why I asked, did you feel that you were coping with this now and you were ready to move forward? Because that was the energy that I was picking up from you, that you sort of feel now, well, there's nothing you can do to change the past. You've dealt with it, you've worked through it to the best of your ability, and now you're ready to open yourself up to new opportunities and hopefully some positive things and some things that are going to bring joy in your life. And if that means a new baby that's going to fill your heart with joy, well, then I think that's a wonderful thing. So you said you haven't got any children, but has there already been previously 2 pregnancies?
There's been one.
There's been one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because they were showing me three pregnancies in total, and that's why I wanted to make sure that we hadn't, already had those 3. So I can take from that then, if we've lost one, then there's still 2 babies to come, sweetheart.
Oh, okay, thank you. And do you know, if it'll be with this guy?
Well, I'm assuming so, sweetie, because I didn't see anybody new on the horizon. So I sort of felt what I was being shown was there was baby news by about March.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Miranda. Have a great week, sweetheart. We're going to talk to Jane now in Woonsocket on Rhode Island. Are you there, Jane?
I am here.
Do you have a question for me, sweetie?
I'm curious of my future with my current job situation.
Okay, Jane, we can look at that for you. It's really, really interesting because when you were talking to me about your future, the first thing that they showed me before you sort of mentioned about your job situation was they were showing me that there was a major turning point or a major change coming up in your life at the moment. Now, I'm going to take that as not being the job situation, but I think other areas of your life at the moment are changing or moving into different directions around you. And one of those seemed to be not necessarily a change of relationship, but a change in the relationship. So if you're in a relationship, would it be fair to say that that seems to be moving into a much stronger section of the relationship? Like if the two of you just talked about making a commitment?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was what they were showing me before you mentioned about your job situation. So I just wanted to share that with you, that they were sort of showing me two thumbs up that this is good news about the relationship becoming stronger. And that will then start to filter through other areas of your life. Now, going back to your actual question about the job situation, look, I don't feel as comfortable with that as what I think we should. It's not that I think that it needs urgent attention, but what I want to share with you is I just don't believe that this job is going to take you where you want to go. There's been a lot of promises, but nothing much has been delivered. And it's like, okay, for now the job's secure, everything's okay, but I'm just not seeing promotions, which is what I felt should have been there. It's what you were led to believe, that if you worked hard, that then these other opportunities would follow suit. Look, I'm not saying that they won't be there in time, but what I'm saying, in the next 12 months, I don't see a promotion, which I felt is overdue. I do feel by about February, March, April next year, you're going to be sitting there with questioning whether or not this is the right job for you. You know, you're not seeing any real potential there for a promotion. You're getting bored with what you're doing. It's not that you can't do the job, but it's like, I was hoping for more by this stage. And you start to question then whether or not it's worth putting any extra energy into this, or do I start looking for another job? Look, I'm not necessarily going to say that you need to change your job, but what I'm going to say is around that time when you start to get this restless energy, can I suggest to you, Jane, yes, by all means, have a look on job boards and whatever, but have a look at what other skills you might need, or you might need to upgrade if you did decide then to make a change. I'm not saying you will, but let's put that energy into something that feels constructive, that feels like I'm achieving something, so that then if I did decide to make a change, I'm in a position of choice. I've got these extra skills in my basket that I can take with me. If not, well, then I've achieved something anyway for me. I feel that if there's likely to be a promotion in this job, it would come in the second half of next year, but that would be a very, very, very slim chance. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it would only be a very slim chance. So this is why I'm suggesting to you, if we can settle you down energetic-wise by you taking on a course or doing something that's going to make you feel like you're still making progress and keeps you in that job a little bit longer, while things sort of start to settle down. And I want to be very clear, it's not because of your ability that they haven't offered you a promotion. It's just that I think everything within the company has slowed down a little bit, and there's not the opportunity there for them to offer you that at that point. It's not that they've lied to you or deceived you. Things haven't grown as quickly as what they anticipated. So therefore everything's sort of, edged back a little bit. So what they're showing me is second half of next year would be when it's at its strongest. If there's going to be a promotion offered, I'd even go one layer more than that and say it would be between September and December. If you stay in the job, there will definitely be a promotion. It's just going to be a bit long-winded. So they're not saying to me that you should change your job. They're just suggesting to you that let's find ways of keeping you calm, of keeping you motivated, of keeping you feeling like you're progressing, and let's just wait for things to sort of unfold. I think 2020 is going to be a fairly busy year anyway, so that, you know, it may not be the time to be looking for a job change anyway when there's other things in your life that are going to need your attention and your focus. But, you know, I appreciate you're the sort of person that needs to have a challenge. You need to sort of feel like you're progressing and working towards something. And you don't feel that at the moment. You feel like you've gone as far as you can go and they promised me this in a roundabout fashion and it hasn't happened yet, but it will happen. So let's just be patient, Jane. There is changes there for you. Are you and your partner, are you looking to sort of potentially buy property in the next 6 months?
I missed that last question.
I said, are you and your partner potentially looking to purchase property in the next 6 months?
I know she is considering purchasing property.
Okay, because I could see the purchase of property around the two of you. So I assumed it was both of you, but that's certainly on the agenda. So it's looking good. So anyway, Jane, that's where we're going to have to leave it. We've come to the end of the show. So I look forward to everybody joining us again next week here on A1R Psychic Radio. So don't forget, let's keep California and Los Angeles in our prayers this week as we enjoy the festivities of what Halloween means to everybody. It's when the veil is at its thinnest and when we can make the best contact with our dearly departed friends, family, relatives, people that we've long lost. And it's a time when I think we should celebrate life. It's not just about the candy and trick-or-treating and getting dressed up. It's about honouring those that are no longer with us. And I know from my end, there'll be a number of people on my list that I'll be sitting down and having a few moments and missing and talking to them over this very special time. So until next week, enjoy your Halloween and don't forget, let's keep California in our prayers. Bye for now.